Welcome to your foam roller session. Now, typically, before I start working on a foam roller, I like to figure out how tight I am so that when I finish on the roller, I can measure how much looser, more flexible, and more mobile I am after I've worked on the foam roller. So I kind of want to get a sense of where you're starting off and then what it'll feel like after when you're done. So you'll have a way to measure your progress. So, first thing that we want to do is use the wall to measure our level of tightness. So, I'm standing with my feet about hip width apart. I want to get the area right above the crack of my bottom against the wall. And then I want to get the waistband of my pants on the wall, my lower back, my ribs, my shoulder blades, and my head if I can. From here, I let my arms dangle. I take a deep breath in. And as I exhale, I start to peel my head off of the wall. And then my shoulders start to peel off in my shoulder blades. Then my ribs. Then my lower back. And I just keep rolling forward as far as my body will allow. My knees are slightly bent. Now, if anywhere along the way I feel super stiff and tight and I can't go any further, then I stop. I take note of where I am. I take a deep breath in, and I start to roll back up into the wall, connecting the lower back, the ribs, the shoulder blades, the shoulders, and my head. Okay, so I make note of how far I went. And then I'm going to test it again a different way. I'm going to place one knee on the ground and my other foot in front. My hands in line with my big toe of my front foot. And I'm going to straighten up, or at least try to straighten out my legs. So I lean into the left foot, curl my right toes under, and I start to lift and straighten out my legs as much as I can. Heels down, and I take note of where I am. How does the left hamstring feel in relation to the right hamstring? What's going on in my left side of my back as opposed to the right side of my back? How are my shoulders? How does one shoulder feel compared to the other? How does the weight of the head feel as well? Okay, and then I come back down. And now I'm going to switch legs. Right foot in front. Knee in line with the right heel, so my left knee is in line with my right heel. My left toes are curled under. My fingertips are in line with my right big toe. And I start to straighten out. Now, as you can see, well, maybe you can't see it, but for me, my right side is a little bit tighter than my left side, so I make a note of that. Notice if my left heel is touching the ground or if I'm having difficulty touching the heel to the ground. What the right hip feels like in relation to the left hip. What the right calf feels like in relation to the left calf, the hamstring. What my right shoulder feels in relationship to the left shoulder, and the weight of the head. I take a deep breath in. And then I exhale and I come back down. So that at least gives me a baseline to work with. Now I'm going to grab my foam roller. Now, regardless of what roller you have, whether it be a short roller or a long roller, you'll be just fine. So I'm going to start off with my roller behind me. And I'm going to sit on the roller with my hands behind me. I'm going to take my right ankle, place it onto my left thigh. And I'm going to kind of slide to the left so that I can roll and tip my hip to the right so I can put more emphasis on that right hip. And I'm going to roll the right hip, roll over my bottom, and just rolling slowly and paying attention to the level of tightness that I have. If I'm going over a spot and it tends to be really tight, I'm going to sit on that spot. I'm not going to move. I'm going to hold it here for a few breaths. Maybe 3 to 5 breaths, nice and slow.
then from here I'm going to rock right to left over that tender spot. Anywhere between 5 and 8 times. And then I'm going to move on to another spot, see if I can find one. Now, from here, I'm going to straighten out my right leg. I'm going to turn to my right forearm, so my right side. And I'm going to roll over the side of my butt. I'm going to try to keep the leg straight if I can. And I'm going to start to work my way towards the waistband of my pants, getting towards the high part of my bottom, toward my hip. I'll go one more time. And then I'm going to work my way back up into the seated position. From here, I'm going to take the roller, slide it to the lower part of my bottom. So I'm going to be sitting right on top of my butt bone. And you know that you're sitting on the butt bone because you feel the bone pressing into the foam roller. And I'm going to roll from the butt bone down towards my knee, okay? The back of my knee, so I can get the hamstring. Now a lot of times the hamstring tends to be pulled tight and it makes it difficult for the pelvis to move, and if the pelvis has difficulty moving, it'll put pressure on your lower back. Again, if the leg muscles are really tight, it can put strain on your knee as well. So it's important that we make sure that we roll out these muscles. All right, so from here, I'm going to place the roller just below that butt bone. And I'm going to take the right leg and I'm going to sweep it from side to side. Now my knee is pointing up towards the sky. My fingertips will be behind me, or my palms will be flat behind me, whatever works. But I'm going to fan the leg from left to right, right to left. This is where the hamstring attaches to your sitting bone. And sometimes where the two meet, there tends to be a lot of tension and stiffness and fibrous cords that develop. So it's important that we try to break some of those up, release the tension so that when you straighten out your leg, roll down from the wall, reach down to touch something or pick something up off the ground, that your hamstrings aren't preventing you from moving and causing your back or your knees to hurt. Okay? All right, so from here, I'm going to slide back just a little bit. So I'm going to move down the back of my leg. I'm probably like halfway down the thigh. And I'm going to fan again. So I'm fanning. Now, if putting weight on your wrist is difficult, you can always put yoga blocks behind you, under your hands to help support you. And then from here, I'm going to roll down a little further. I would say maybe an inch or two above the knee, on the back side of the knee, and I'm going to fan. Keeping the knee pointing towards the sky, and I'm fanning. I'm gliding the leg over the roller, and I'm pressing into the roller as I do it. And then I hold it center. I roll the roller up towards my hip. I'm going to turn to my side. And I'm going to roll the roller I can either go onto the forearm or onto the palm. I'm going to roll the roller on the outer edge of that the muscle on the upper part of the back of my thigh. So the outer edge of my hamstring. So I'm going to roll and then roll back. So just so you know where you are, if your pants have a seam along the side, you're going to be on the back side of that seam. And go over the butt bone, go over the butt, and then come back again. One more time, we go over the butt bone, and then we roll back down again. This leg, the left leg, you can move it around to give you as much support as you need. Okay? All right. Now, from here, I'm going to go to my left leg. So let me spin around so you can see what I'm doing. Slide back a bit. All right, so my left ankle goes onto my right thigh. I'm just going to repeat what I did on the right leg. So I'm going to tip to the left side of my hip, and I'm going to roll over my bottom. Now, you see me moving my right foot to give me as much support as I need. So I can play around and move the foot around. And remember, we're looking for a tense spot if we can find one. If we find a tender area, we hold it here, anywhere between 3 to 5 breaths. And we want to make sure that we breathe into the belly, so you should feel your belly expand on all sides. Remember, you can use yoga blocks under your hands. And then we move to another spot if we can find one. Now I'm going to take it back to that original spot because it's still a little sore. So I will rock right to left, left to right, over that tender spot. And if I had another spot, I would do the same thing. Hold it for 3 to 5 breaths, and then rock it. Anywhere from 5 to 8 times on either side. And then from here, I'm going to lengthen out the leg. I'm going to turn to one side. And I'm going to roll over the hip. I'm going to try to keep my left leg as straight as I can. If you have to bend it, then bend it. Not a big deal. Your right foot serves as support. So I'm rolling over the hip, rolling over the high hip, going over the entire butt muscle. Let's do it one more time. Now, from here, I'm going to work my way up. And I'm going to slide the roller down onto the butt bone. And from here, I'm going to keep my knee pointing up towards the sky. And I'm going to sweep. So fanning the leg from side to side. Notice how the right leg stays still. It's not waving along with the left leg. It stays nice and steady to give the left leg all the support it needs as I sweep it from side to side. Now from here, I'm going to get behind or below the butt bone. Okay? And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fan the leg. The knee stays pointing up towards the sky as I fan from side to side, breathing into my belly. Pulling my shoulders back. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, keep that right knee steady, right? Because it's not moving. It's just that left leg that's moving. And then I hold it center. And then I'm going to slide my roller down midway down the leg. So I'm halfway down the thigh. And I'm going to fan again, keeping my knee pointing up towards the sky as I deal with all three of my hamstring muscles, because the hamstring is made up of three muscles on the back side of the upper thigh. And I sway from side to side with the leg. Now from here, I'm going to roll the roller 1 to 2 inches above the knee. And I do the same thing. I fan the leg. Trying to keep the knee pointing up towards the sky. Again, remember you can use yoga blocks. If your arms get tired, have a seat. Take a little break, shake it out, and then come on back to fan. You can even fan sitting, but you have to make sure that you put enough weight into that left leg. I prefer to do it up here because I can put more weight onto the foam roller. Good. And then from here, I'm going to roll the roller under my bottom. Okay. Now from here, I'm going to turn to my side because I want to roll under the border of my hamstring. So that outer edge of my hamstring, behind the seam, if I have a seam that runs on the outside edge of my pants, I want to get behind that seam. And I'm going to roll over the roller. Let me scoot down a little bit. And I do it again. I roll over the roller. I make sure I stay above the knee. And I roll over the roller. Now this may be a little tender, so be gentle, be kind, and move slowly. Let's go one more time. Breathing into the belly and exhale. Now I'm going to come off of the roller. I'm going to spin around, and now I'm going to focus on my upper back. So the roller is going to rest towards the bottom of my ribs. If I have a bra on, I'm going to place the roller right below the bra strap. Okay, and the roller sits right in that spot. As you can see, I'm in an inclined position. I'm not collapsing over the roller. My hands go behind my head. My feet go about hip width apart. I'm going to lift my hips and I'm going to roll over the roller. So the roller is going to roll towards the bottom of my shoulder blades. If I walk forward, the roller will roll towards the top of my shoulder blades. And then I roll back again to my original spot. Notice my bottom stays off the ground. Now, if this is difficult to do, you can always walk and rest. Walk back and roll and rest. Walk back, roll and rest. And then you can do the same thing moving forward. I can lift, walk forward, drop my bottom, roll, walk, lift my bottom just a little bit and roll. Good, so I still have the support of the ground. Walk forward, lift my bottom just a little bit and roll towards my upper shoulder blades. And then I can do the same thing on the way back. So you have a couple of options when it comes to rolling. Now, if the upper body is super tight, this is going to be so tender, almost unbearable. But try to last, take little breaks if you need to, come back to this as often as you can, because this is going to release a lot of tension that you may have between your shoulder blades and lead up to the neck and maybe even into the crown of the head. A lot of times you have people who experience tension headaches, and it's due to a lot of stress and tension that they hold between their shoulder blades. So by relaxing and massaging these muscles, it tends to reduce the tension so that they don't experience tension headaches. Now, I'm going to turn to my side, and I'm going to place the roller right on my rib cage underneath if I have a bra strap on, it would be along the bra strap. Now, my arm is on the ground for now, and this is just because this is, for some people, this is unbearable. This is like very difficult because they're really tight in their lat muscles and their back muscles, and they have a lot of shoulder tension, even neck and even jaw pain, okay? So this one is for you if that's what you experience. So you start off with the arm on the ground to start with, and then you're going to lift your hip, or put your hand on the foam roller, lift your hip, and roll over the roller. Now you notice when I roll and the roller's coming toward my armpit, but it doesn't go into my armpit, my arm goes straight. And then when I roll toward my arm, my elbow bends, okay? This is where I would start. And you notice I'm lifting my hip. You can lift the hip, roll a little bit and rest. Lift the hip, roll a little bit and rest. Lift the hip, roll back and rest. Lift the hip, roll back and rest. This is like a built-in rest or break as you stay and keep tension on this muscle. Now, the next level would be to lift the hip, reach the arm off the ground, and roll. Okay? Now, if you're doing this and your neck tends to get very tender, or it gets stiff or tight or tense, you can take the top arm, hold on to the head as you roll, so it takes tension off of your neck. But in doing that, you end up putting you put the majority of your body weight onto the foam roller, which is fantastic if you can tolerate it. But if you can't, then you're gonna have to take little breaks, okay? So this one, you don't have to spend a lot of time here, but I would love it if you spent some time. Even if you roll 5 times, forward and back, okay? You'll still get amazing benefits from it. And then we come on up. We switch to the other side. Same rules apply. Foam roller goes in the same spot. You can start off with the level 1, rolling down, and then bending and rolling up, rolling down, or you can go into the next level where the arm is off the ground. The arm's not really giving you any support even when you have it down, not that much. And I'm rolling over the side of my rib cage, up along, almost into the armpit, but not quite. I don't go into the armpit. I actually go slightly behind the armpit, so I am on the border of my shoulder blade, okay? So you're nowhere inside the armpit. You are on the border of the shoulder blade, because that's where a lot of the muscles attach that are responsible for the movement of the arm and the shoulder blade, okay? Good. All right. And that's the roll under the shoulder blade. And then the last one that I want you to focus on is the front of your thighs. So, I'm going to place the roller under the middle of my thigh, the front of my thigh. And I'm going to place my forearms on the ground to help support me. Now you notice how my back is arching, okay? You're gonna have to work here. I'm going to lift my rib cage, pull my belly in, and I'm gonna crawl forward. And then I'm gonna crawl back. Now I wanna stay above my knees. And I can roll all the way under my belly button if I wanted to, okay? And then I cage, lifting my lower back. If you're doing this and you feel this in your lower back, you need to pull your belly in. You need to pull the rib cage down to support your back muscles, okay, and protect your spine so that you don't put undue stress onto your lower back. And you roll. So you're crawling. You notice how I'm crawling one elbow, then the next, then the next. And then I crawl forward again, keeping that lower back lifted, belly tight. And then I go one more time. And I come back up again. And then I'm going to exit the roller. I'm going to roll down to about mid-thigh, bend my knees. Come off of the roller. And that's what I'd like you to cover for your first round on the foam roller. You'll be working the hamstrings, the back of the upper thigh, your bottom, the front of your thighs, your upper back, and the muscles that sit along the border of your shoulder blade, okay? That will give you a good overall mobility program that I would like you to do on a daily basis. If you can do this 2 to 3 times a day, I'll go for one is great, but 2 to 3 times would be better, okay? Just so that your body starts to get more pliable, becomes less tense, less stressed, and you find that you're able to move a lot better. So let's go back and retest the wall and the standing stretch for the legs to see if we've improved any from when we started. Okay, so come on up. We stand at the wall, feet about hip width apart, and we want to make sure that the bone right above the crack of your bottom is pressing into the wall, the waistband of your pants pressing into the wall, your lower back, you have to draw the belly in, pressing into the wall, your ribs, you have to push the ribs down, pressing into the wall, shoulder blades, pressing into the wall if you can, and then head, if you can get all of them to the wall. Now, if you're unable to get the shoulders and the head on the wall, get as much as you can on the wall, okay? From here, arms dangle. I inhale, and then I exhale, peel my head away from the wall, and shoulder blades and shoulders peel, and then the ribs peel, and then the lower back starts to peel off, waistband of the pants peel. I brace my belly, pull my belly button in as I continue to exhale and roll down. And I want to see how far I can go this time. Good. If your fingertips touch the ground or not, it doesn't matter. We just want to see an improvement, hopefully, after you've worked on the foam roller. And then we inhale and we roll back up, connecting to the wall. So the area above the crack of my bottom touches, and then the waistband of my pants touch, and then the lower back, then the lower ribs, then the entire rib, shoulder blades, shoulders, and then my head. Now I can tell you, for me, that's improved from when we first started. So let's try what we call the runner's lunge. So I'm going to come on down. I'm going to start with my left foot, bring it forward. My right knee is lined up with my left heel. Fingertips in line with my big toe in front, back toes curled under. I'm looking at my foot. I'm going to inhale and exhale, and I'm going to straighten up and press the heels into the ground. This feels good. Both legs are extended, both heels are down, both palms are flat, and I'm not feeling an excessive tug or pull in the hamstrings. Everything feels nice, feels better than it did when I first started. And then I'm going to come back down. And then I'm going to switch sides. Right foot goes forward, left knee lines up with the right heel, left toes curl under, My fingertips are lined up with the big toe of my right foot, and this is where I typically have tension in the right leg. So let's take a look and see. I take a deep breath in, and then as I exhale, I lift and I stretch back. It feels much better. I can straighten out my right leg. It's not as tense as it was before, and my left heel is pressing into the ground. Before, it was a little difficult to get it down, but now I can. And then I come back out of it. So, better than before, and that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for perfection, we're looking for progress, okay? I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope you're able to fit this in because this is really worthwhile for you. You'll notice a marked difference in your daily movement and the things that you do on a daily basis. Things will be a little bit easier in terms of movement after you've used the foam roller for a little bit. Okay? I look forward to seeing you next time.